So if you've ever tried to build or even thought about building a community online, then you've probably run into some problems just like everyone else has. However, the only thing that separates the people with a thriving community that they get paid thousands of dollars for every single month, and those who fail to build a community, is simply how they deal with these problems. Therefore, by solving these problems, it pretty much guarantees that you're going to build a successful community. Therefore, in this video, I will walk you through exactly how to build and scale a community so that you can get results like the ones you see on screen right now. So step number one is to understand the business foundations. And this is a very important step because if you don't understand the foundations, then your whole system will collapse and essentially be useless. Imagine that you're building a house. You wouldn't want the foundation of this house to be on sand, because even if the house is big and beautiful and vibrant, the foundation is weak, and this sand can crumble at any moment, and hence the house, or in this metaphor, your business, will just collapse with it. If you don't have these fundamentals in place, then the chances of you making money with this community is basically zero. However, if you put these foundations in place correctly, the things I'm going to talk about in this section, then it'll make it 100 times easier for you to make money using a community. So for the business foundations, we can split it into two simple parts. Part one is traffic and part two is a sales page. So let's go through each one individually. Firstly, we'll talk about traffic. So this just means getting people onto your sales page. Now this is important because if no one goes to your sales page, then no one is going to buy from you. However, if you can get traffic, then you can filter this traffic through onto a sales page, and this is where the magic happens. But the first step, the most crucial part, is getting traffic and then directing them to a sales page. And traffic is our number one priority here. Without traffic, you're pretty much a ghost, you're a shadow, no one knows who you are, and then people can't buy your shit. So how do you actually get traffic? Well, there's a couple of ways. The first way is paid and the second way is organic. Now for paid, you can either do advertising or pay people to affiliate and stuff like this, or secondly you can do organic, and this is like uploading content to social media and getting traffic through organic websites like YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, whatever you want to use. And the second step here is the sales page, and this sales page is essentially a place where people can actually give you money. They can actually pay for your product or your service. Now, if you don't have a sales page, if you don't have somewhere where people can pay you for your product or service, then think about it. You're not going to have any cash flow because people aren't actually going to physically be able to give you money and pay for your things. However, with the sales page, this basically ensures that people have a place to go and to give you cash flow every single month. So the business fundamentals there are traffic and a sales page. They are the two fundamentals of this community business. The traffic, you need to get people watching you, you need viewers, you need impressions, and then you need to send that traffic, send those viewers to a sales page where then they can buy your things. And it's really as simple as that when it comes to the foundations. Now, step number two is actually deciding your niche. So the idea here is that we need a clear image of our ideal customer and the problem that we are solving for this customer. So what we're doing here is that we're solving a specific problem for a specific person, and we always need that image in our head of the problem and the person. Now the problem is here, if you don't have this clear avatar in your head, then when you make content, when you try and get traffic, when you send people to your sales page, they're not going to be potential customers. Instead, they're going to be kind of like friends. So for example, I see a lot of guys making content online, whether it be in whatever niche that they choose, but they're so all over the place that people are becoming friendly with them, but they're not feeling like they are the person that can give them information, and therefore they're not having this customer and producer dynamic. Instead, they're having like this friendship dynamic, and all the money is made in the customer and the producer dynamic, whereas the friend dynamic rarely makes money. So if you can get this avatar right and you can solve this problem correctly, people are going to give you a shit ton of money for solving their problem. And also a nice thing here is that when you niche down, you can become the best. So for example, there's lots of people who sell maybe weight loss programs, and there's a lot of competition, so it's hard to be the best weight loss coach. But if you sell weight loss for 40 to 45-year-old women from the UK who have 3 children and work as a teacher, then you're going to be the best at doing that because no one else is in that specific niche. And people give money to the best. People want the best things. They want the best people to work with. So for me, I help business owners and entrepreneurs build and scale online communities. That is my niche. That is what I've whittled it down to. So entrepreneurs and business owners only. No one who doesn't have a business, no one that isn't an entrepreneur can join my program. And only people who want to build and scale communities. Not people who want to sell coaching, not people who want to sell blah, blah, blah. Specifically, build and scale communities. So if you're trying to find your niche, okay, you think to yourself, what am I going to sell? Who am I going to sell to? Then the easiest way to do this is just to do an exercise. Grab a pen, grab some paper, and write down, what are you actually good at? What do other people say that you're good at? What do you enjoy? What do you talk about in your spare time? What would you help people solve for free? And start writing all the answers to these questions. Ask your parents, ask your girlfriend, ask your family, what am I good at? What do I help people do? What problems can I solve? And you'll soon find out that these topics kind of interrelate with each other, and you'll find one or two that you think you'd be very good for, and that is your niche. And then you decide who you are actually going to sell to. What person can you relate to? Whose problems do you know and understand? Usually this is people like you or people who are in a situation you used to be in. So now that we know the business foundations and what we're picking for our niche, we need to move on to step 3, which is the community foundations. So like I said, we spoke about the business foundations, so we spoke about traffic and a sales page, but let's go a bit more specific. How are we relating this to a community? What are the fundamentals and the foundations for a good, thriving community? And this comes down again to 2 simple things. Number 1 is getting people in your community, and number 2 is keeping people in your community. So all you need to think about here is the business foundations will apply to getting people into your community. So you take traffic from social media or whatever choice of traffic you're going to use. For my clients, I recommend the organic social media way. It just breeds better customers and better people. You're going to choose what your traffic source is. You're going to send them to your sales page. And once they purchase from your sales page, they will then get into the community. So that's the first step, is getting them into the community, and that is filtered through by the traffic system, the sales system that you have, and then the onboarding system for the community. And the second phase is keeping people in this community, and this is stuff like lowering churn, and there's a lot of things that you can do here. I'm not going to go into massive amount of detail because this is what I sell in my program. I'm not going to go into huge detail on YouTube. It would take me way too long. So if you want to know the actual in-depth details of all these things, then I recommend you join the program. Click the top link in the description, it'll take you straight there. But all you need to know for the community foundations is you need to get people in your community, you need to get people paying for your community, and then you also need those paying customers to stay. So you want to increase the lifetime value of these paying customers, and that happens by reducing churn. So step 4 of this is deciding how to actually sell. And what I mean by how to sell is, okay, we know our niche, we know that we're going to be selling the community, so we know what we're selling and we know who we're selling to, but how are we actually going to sell this community? And I've bunched this into 3 different categories. So the first category is low ticket, the second category is medium ticket, and the third category is high ticket. So low ticket is kind of this cheaper community. So anywhere from $1 to say $100 per month, we'd say this is low ticket. And what this means is that people don't expect a lot of one-on-one time here. So if you don't have a lot of time to be taking one-on-one calls, or you don't want to be face-to-face with someone every hour of every single day, you kind of want to let it run in the background, have a more passive method to your community, then I recommend the low ticket here. If you're someone who wants to sell medium tickets, so I'll say anywhere between $100 and maybe $1,000, then this is a little bit more hands-on. It's a bit more one-to-one time, but you can get away with, you know, doing 1 to few, so having maybe group calls instead of specific 1-to-1 calls. but again, it's more hands-on, it's more time with the members of your community. And the third one is high ticket, so anything over $1,000, and people for this price will expect a lot of, you know, one-to-one talking, hands-on, 24/7 contact with you. So what I recommend for my students is to actually do a low ticket. Now the reason for this is that people don't expect a lot of one-to-one time, like I mentioned. It basically runs itself in the background of your content. You can get to a broader audience rather than having specific clients, and there's more room for churn. It's less risky, because if you're low ticket and you say you have 150 members, then if 5 of them leave every single month, that's not going to be that bad. You know, you're still going to be making lots of profit, you're still going to have a thriving community. However, if you sell high ticket and you maybe have 3 clients or 5 people in your community and 2 people leave, then that's 40% of your community gone. That's a huge hit to the community, and it makes it look detrimental, to be honest. So it's a lot riskier having high ticket clients and high ticket people in your community. However, the benefits of high ticket is that there is a better quality of customer, they're easier to work with, they'll pay you more money. So it's up to you to decide the pros and cons of this, whether you're going to sell low ticket or high ticket. It's up to you to decide, really, but they're the 2 kind of categories. Moving on to step 5, this is setting up systems. So we need 3 systems that we can build here and set up in order to have a really good community. So the first system is the traffic system. So this is how we are going to make content and what content are we actually going to make. So think, are we doing paid content? Are we doing organic content? Are we doing ads? Are we doing TikTok? Are we doing Twitter? Are we doing YouTube? It's up to you to do some research and decide what you think the best is for you. Like I said, I go into detail for these systems in my actual guide in my course that you can get in the top link of the description. So I'll keep it broad for this video. I don't want to be making hour-long videos, but just know that you need to decide what you're actually going to use. So this is things like a content schedule. How many times a week are you going to post? How much money are you going to spend per day on ads, etc., etc. The second system that we're going to look at is a sales system. So are you going to take sales calls, or are you going to let the landing page sell itself? Like I said, with low ticket and high ticket, if you're going to sell high ticket, then you probably need to be taking sales calls and having sales reps, or taking these calls by yourself. Whereas selling low ticket, you can kind of let the landing page speak for itself. People are a lot more open to paying a smaller price. Obviously, it's a bigger decision the bigger the price is, so you need some more persuasion, you need to take some more calls, have some more contact before you sell high ticket. So the sales system is deciding how you're going to sell it, and what process and what method you're going to use to sell. And the third system we need to get right is the churn reduction system. So how are we going to keep people in? How are we going to keep people staying in our community and increasing the lifetime value of the customer? And again, like I said, these are little golden nuggets that you can learn in my course, but essentially all you need to know now is that you need to keep people in your community. So the things that you post in your community, the type of courses in there, the benefits, the incentives for people to stay, all those good stuff. You need to have a system for all of this in place. And what I recommend is making a playbook so that you can go back to adjust and develop this playbook over time. So write it out in a Google Doc, write it on a pen and paper, write traffic system, sales system, churn reduction system. How are you getting people into your community? How are you keeping people in your community? How are you selling your community? How are you reducing churn? How many times a week are you posting? How many sales calls are you taking per day? Are you having sales reps? All these things need to be written down, written in like a playbook somewhere that you can keep safe. A Google Docs I recommend, and you can always go back to and write, okay, don't do this because it doesn't work, do this more because it works, increases lifetime value, it reduces churn, etc., etc. You need to be writing these things down, making a playbook and a guide for yourself and for any future employees that you're going to have in the community. And the final step is to avoid making mistakes. If you avoid making all the mistakes that I made, and I see a lot of guys with unsuccessful communities making, if you avoid all those mistakes, then it is virtually impossible to fail, right? If you just do all the right things, if you avoid all the potholes, all the mistakes, you avoid them all, then you're going to succeed, right? You might be thinking to yourself, okay, but what are the mistakes? What are the mistakes people are making? What are the common mistakes? Well, you can click the video on screen now to find out what the common mistakes are and how you can avoid them.